Hey, hi, and hello, Matt and Pyro here once again for your viewing pleasure. Okay, that was kind of cheesy, I admit that. We are now transitioning from the mousse over to the souffle. We are going to use the mousse in the souffle. That's why the mousse recipe, then the souffle recipe, because you have to have the mousse to make the souffle. I am kind of frazzled a little bit. Obviously, I've got allergy issues, so if you hear me doing that, don't worry, it's just allergies. Now, what you need to start off with is a good mixing bowl, something big enough to fluff egg whites. In any souffle, what's one of the main ingredients? Egg whites, and you have to blend them right. Also, I will be adding stuff to the egg whites before we mix anything else in, so pay attention. Like I said, once again, I will not be putting the recipe down there. You're going to have to rewatch this video several times to write the recipe down, because I'm trying to move pretty fast to keep these videos kind of short. So, what we're going to start off with is 3 egg whites, large eggs, egg whites, and they have to be cold. The colder they are, the faster they froth. So we're going to add the 3 egg whites to the bowl. Egg whitey. And then before we even start to blend, I want to add this little morsel right here, which is cream of tartar. There's a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. This helps stabilize the egg whites once you get them fluffed up. And you go ahead and you mix this in now. That way it gets blended really well, because you're going to beat these egg whites like there's no tomorrow. And also, before we go any further, I'm going to go ahead and add the erythritol. Erythritol is hard to get to dissolve in liquids. It takes a lot of mixing to get it. I usually would use powdered erythritol for this, but I'm actually using granulated because we ran out of powder, and my grinder is full of coffee. So, I am a coffeeaholic, so is Amy. We admit it. Death wish all the way, baby. But anyway, so there's a tablespoon of erythritol here. And you want to kind of sprinkle that in before you even start beating your egg whites. That way, it gets mixed in, it gets dissolved, and everything will be fine. So what we're going to do is kind of lean the bowl like this. Put your beaters in. Start it off slow just to get things incorporated, get things moving. Once that happens, you'll see it automatically start to froth. Then you want to go up in speed and go up again. What we're doing is called a soft peak. I know it's loud, I'm sorry. There's no way around it, and I have no microphone. Now, it doesn't take long to get to that soft peak stage. We're almost there. Alright, we are at soft peak stage. What you want in a soft peak, maybe that camera please. What you want in a soft peak is you want it to kind of hang there, but you want it movable. And the reason you want that is because it's easier to incorporate, and it doesn't beat them. Matter of fact, I'm going to beat those a little bit more. This is more of a medium peak, I guess. If you look, it's still kind of wavy, but it's not. If you put it in the bowl, it doesn't hold the peak. The peak actually starts to fold over, and that's what you want in this recipe. So we're going to try to pass that off so it doesn't drip on my stand while I'm doing the rest. Okay, now you need a kitchen scale for this one. If you don't have a kitchen scale, I apologize. I'm using a kitchen scale. My bad.
Roughly half a cup
of
mousse.
Yeah. Roughly half a cup We do it by the gram because it's a little more accurate. So we need 106 grams of mousse. And the easy way to do that is just to take a thump of it out, throw it in there. That right there, that little bit that you saw was 85 grams. So if that gives you any clue on how dense this stuff actually is, and there we go. We're at 106 right there. So, wow. Couldn't have measured that much better, could I?
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean, that's all the mousse you actually need for this recipe. And it looks like that. So it looks good. It kind of looks like a cloud with a bunch of chocolate in the middle of it. Now, the next couple ingredients that you need are coconut flour. This is how many grams?
31 total there if you need all of it.
Yeah, 31 grams. It's about 3 tablespoons of coconut flour. And I used a little less in my original recipe. I'm using a little more to stabilize. My stuff fell last night, and I'm trying to make it not fall again because I don't like it when it falls. I like big fluffy souffles. And then we have basically a half a teaspoon of baking powder. And you want to go ahead and add that at this point too. Now, what you're going to do is blend all this together until you don't see a color differential. Start off slow. It's going to be kind of weird. You've got that flour in there, so you don't want it to puff out everywhere. So you start out slow. Now your egg whites are going to fall a bit. That is absolutely normal. Do not worry about that at all. They will puff back up. The important thing is you get the air incorporated in there. So at this point, we basically have the consistency of a really thick cake batter. And that's what you want. And we're going to scrape it down again, just like we did with the mousse, because we want to get all those ingredients incorporated in there and make sure everything's good, and make sure it looks good, and make sure it's all mixed in. Now mine, I actually mixed it really well the first time, so I don't have to blend it again. If you see any type of color differential or any type of ingredient differential, like if you see like clumps of baking powder or clumps of coconut flour or anything like that, go ahead and blend it up again. I, fortunately, do not have to. If you look, it's a nice uniform color. There's no white, there's no anything like that in there. So that is what you're looking for. Now this is unbelievably airy and light comparatively to the mousse itself. So when I tell you to weigh it out, please weigh it out, because this bowl right here is about 3 times what this one weighs. So if that gives you any clue on what the difference is there. So now we're going to basically take, and you're going to eyeball it. That's how I do it anyway. I have 2 small, these are actually creme brulee ramekins, but it's what I had, and they match, and it does work really well. So what we're going to do is basically split this in 2 parts. You want it evened as close as you can get, and then once you get it to that point, anything that's left in there, you just kind of dollop here and a dollop here. You're basically just splitting the recipe. So there we go. Now I'll scrape, and you want to get out as much of it as you can. Just, I mean, you're working for it, you know, you're working hard for this stuff. And so get every bit out that you possibly can. Believe me, you're going to love it once you do, I promise. So now at this point, what you're going to do is just flatten it out in the ramekin. And that's not difficult. By the way, when you use your ramekins, please, by all means, oil them. We're using coconut oil spray to oil them. You can use avocado oil, olive oil, peanut oil, anything you want. But make sure you oil the ramekins. It stops them from sticking so bad. The coconut oil spray is probably the best for this, though. Because it doesn't add a flavor to it. You already have coconut flour in there. So, I wouldn't worry about it too awful much. So, as you can see, they're pretty much even. This one's a little low, but I'm not really going to fret about it too awful much. If you really want to get technical with it, you can go ahead and you can weigh it out and split it that way. I'm just kind of, for time-wise, I'm not doing that. Normally I would, but these are single-serving ramekins, so I'm not real concerned with it. Throw that one away, please. And then you want to wipe the edges. If you don't wipe the edges, you're going to have burnt souffle on the edges, and that doesn't taste good, I promise. And if you notice, guys, whenever I cook, I wear gloves. One, it's a force of habit. Two, it keeps your stuff clean. If you get something on your hands, you don't have to worry about it. And also, when you cook like I've always cooked, you're doing baked goods here, you're handling raw meat over there. If you wear rubber gloves, and I know there's like this big shortage on rubber gloves right now, but if you wear rubber gloves, you can take the rubber gloves off and throw it away, and it stops cross-contamination. So your best bet is to wear rubber gloves whenever you cook, at least when you're doing multiple recipes. If you're just doing the souffle, don't worry about it so much. If you're just doing the mousse, don't worry about it so much. If you're doing the mousse and cooking dinner, by all means, when you switch from the mousse, pop your gloves off, throw them out, get a new pair of gloves, put them on. So this is what your ramekins are going to look like. They're nice. They're even. It's light. It's fluffy. Like I said, you're going to stick these in the oven and watch them like a hawk, because they're going to rise up past the top of the ramekins themselves, or souffle dishes, or creme brulee dishes, or whatever you want to call them. They're going to rise up probably about this much, about an inch. When you pull them out of the oven, do not fret if they fall. Souffles are notorious for falling. It still happens to me. Now, the cream and tartar, I think, should take care of that issue. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. Life sucks. If they do fall, it's still really good. Don't throw it out. Don't fret. Don't throw a fit. It's hard to get a souffle to stay. It really is. So you put these in the oven at 375 for about 15 minutes, roughly. You're going to want to check them from time to time. Make sure they're rising right. Do not open the oven door. Two reasons. One, your oven has a temperature regulator in it, and it holds that temperature at the right level. You don't want to open the oven door, because what happens to all the heat? Floods out the front door. So then you got to wait for the oven to heat back up. Souffles are one of those things that are so picky. As soon as that heat goes out the oven, they're going to fall. And if they fall, you're going to not have that airy, decadent dessert that you're wanting. Secondly, the temperature regulation. It has to take time to heat back up, and then you get hot spots and everything else. So leave the oven door shut until you think it's done. Roughly, start checking it at about 12 minutes. Look to make sure if it's not rising anymore, then chances are it's probably done. It should actually get a small crack around the rim, and then the center should be higher than the rest of it. If it's not like that, leave it for another minute and just watch it. You can actually sit at your oven door and watch the thing rise up. It's pretty cool. Well, for me it is, but you know, I'm kind of one of those food people that likes to watch shit like that. So, you know, once it rises up and it stops rising, you'll be able to see it, and then take a toothpick, just like you would with a normal cake, and stick it in the centermost part of that souffle. If it comes out clean, your eggs are cooked. It's as cooked as it's going to get. It's just going to dry out and get nasty at that point. So then you take them out. You can serve it hot, like drizzle some sugar-free chocolate syrup or caramel over it, or you can even use powdered erythritol and monk fruit mix and just dust it. Now, if you do that, it's going to disappear, but it's still going to add that little extra layer of sweetness on top. Or you can do what I like to do and let them cool. Once they cool, you can top them off with whipped cream, you can top them off with mousse, you can top them off with fruit, you can top them off with whatever you want at that point. So I tend to let mine cool down before I eat it. And there you go. I mean, that is souffle at its finest. I'm not going to bore you guys with 15 minutes of blah, blah, blah while these cook. After they're done cooking, we may or may not upload a picture of them cooked. I don't know if I will or not.
You can do it in your vlog.
I can only show you guys in today's vlog once they're cooked, and then we'll go from there. And I'll start out the vlog with showing you what they look like when they're cooked. So, guys, that's all I've got for you as far as the souffle goes. Remember, make the mousse first, then use the mousse for the souffle. Yes, it's a lot of ingredients. Yes, it's a lot to type into, like, a Fitbit or whatever. Or whatever. MyFitnessPal, the recipe thing for keto. It is a lot to type in, but you're gonna love it. I promise you that. So, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Chocolate souffle, anybody? Who ever thought that we'd have keto chocolate souffle? I'm personally happy with it. Chocolate mousse, rich, decadent chocolate mousse that you can't taste the artificial sweetener in. Come on now. This is just getting too crazy for me. I never thought I'd be able to eat chocolate mousse again, and here we have it every night now. So, what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and sign off. I will see you guys in my vlog. For me, it's going to be about an hour. For you guys, it'll be instantaneous. Chocolate souffle. Get healthy, get happy, and I'll see you guys here in a